All right. All right, everybody. All right. We should be streaming now. Carla, if you can just let me know that the stream is live and everybody in general can see and hear, that would be fantastic. VIPs, you have a good little VIP session today?
Of course.
Awesome.
Oh yeah.
All right, awesome.
Great.
Okay, real quick, just as we did yesterday, let's bring on a few people and quickly share some wins to motivate everybody. I saw that we had several book calls, a closed deal. Go ahead and let me see there. Who had the? I can't see it in the chat. Who booked calls yesterday? Suzanne, you booked calls. How many book calls you booked? Say it out loud. Say it out loud.
I booked one call. I booked
One call. Okay. Who else booked a call?
Booked 2 calls yesterday.
Booked 2 calls. Awesome. Who's that?
Connor.
Connor. Awesome. Congratulations. Who else booked calls? Katie, how many calls you booked?
I think I finished at like 12 after we finished our session yesterday. I kept running through the day. So by the end of last night when I went to bed, it was like 12 total.
12 calls? 12
Yeah.
calls. Wow. Amazing. Who got a sale?
I did.
You did? Is that Ivan?
Ivan, yeah.
Ivan, you had a sale. So how many calls did you book? And you, tell me what you told me earlier, by the way.
Well, I've been struggling to close any calls at all. I've been closing 1 call a month for the last 3 months with 15 to 20 calls. And right now with 2 calls, I had to close 2 calls yesterday, and I closed 1 with everything I've been learning here. So this is life changing because I don't know. This is well, you know, I'm speechless because
Awesome.
I was. Yeah.
Congratulations. You guys can unmute your
Thank
mic and clap if you want to. I know that's a pain, but click it and clap it. Okay, awesome. All right.
Thank you.
We have a jam-packed, I know we had some other wins, but I want to hop right in. We have some jam-packed content today. I'm also going to bring Phil, my partner Phil, on, who's going to share with you what he's learned. Because you got to remember, Phil is not an internet marketer. He came from the corporate sales world where he scaled 9-figure corporate sales teams. So he's in the internet marketing world, all I ever see is this guy shaking his head, right? And so what he's going to do is he's going to come on and he's going to share what people do in several things and how coaching businesses and people in the internet marketing world set up their businesses and how that compares to how a elite 9-figure sales team runs in the corporate world. And he's going to show you the difference so you can see how some of these things are holding you back. Would that be helpful? Yes or yes?
Hell yes.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, awesome. Okay, so that'll be here in a few minutes. I want to go through what I call. Oh, by the way, guys, your workbooks are here. Make sure you download your workbooks. Closedeals.com/downloads. For general admission, just so you guys know, I made an offer for our program to VIP. Only to VIP today. You guys will get a chance tomorrow, but we are only taking 20 people. And so I would love it if all 20 spots got filled up for tomorrow, and then you can just enjoy the challenge. I don't even pitch. But just so you know, it is first come, first serve, but you will get that general admission. You will get that opportunity tomorrow. Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about is the law of marginal gains. The law of marginal gains. Okay. This is the law that all internet marketers, all coaches, all people in this industry break all the time. Okay. Let me make sure you guys can see that. Hold on. Okay. This is something that is constantly broken and why you're struggling. So, who here has read the book Atomic Habits? Anybody?
I have, yeah.
Okay. There was a story in that book about the British cycling team, who prior to 2003 were the worst team in cycling. They were the bad news bears of cycling. They were terrible, literally like last place. They hired a new coach named Dave Brailsford in 2003. And Dave, he believed in the law of marginal gains. The law of marginal gains. And what that means is, essentially, if you improve 1% a day, the compounding interest, the compound effect of that is astronomical compared to trying to fix one thing at a time, trying to fix one major thing at a time. And so what he did was, with the British cycling team, he started, every day he would do something to improve them. He would try out different pillows to get them better sleep, different helmets for aerodynamics. He would try different bike seats so they were more comfortable and fidgeted less while they were on the bike. He would try out different diets. He would try out different clothes, just all kinds of different stuff, little things. And his goal was to improve the team just 1% each day. And what ended up happening, within 5 years, the British cycling team went from being completely mediocre to dominating the sport. They won 70% of the gold medals available at the London Olympics and won 5 Tour de France's, if I pronounced that correctly. That is the law of marginal gains, okay? And it works on compound. Does anybody know, if you, I'll write it down here. If you took 1 penny, right? If you took 1 penny and you doubled that penny every day for 30 days, does anybody know how much money you'd have? Does anybody know?
Million, I think.
How much?
In the million.
A couple million
Over
or
$1
something.
million.
Shocking. Tens of millions?
5 million, I have it written down, 5,368,709 in 30 days if you doubled 1 penny every day. That is how quickly the compound effect can take over, okay? But that's doubling the cent, okay? You're not gonna go from $10,000 a month to $5 million a month in a month. That would be amazing, but that is why we call this the law of marginal gains, okay? So think about it this way. Think about you have a hill, and on that hill is a tiny snowball. What happens to the snowball as it moves its way down the hill? Can anybody tell me?
It's larger.
It gets larger, right? So as it moves down the hill, it gets larger. So the larger it is, as it rotates, the more what it picks up, the more
Momentum.
Well, what is it?
Momentum.
Snow, that's more snow. So as it rolls down, it gets bigger. So its forward motion picks up more snow a little bit at a time. As it gets bigger, it picks up more snow. So it's picking up snow in 2 ways: the forward movement and the size of the snowball, until eventually it's just huge. And this is the thing, is most entrepreneurs in this industry, they try to fix everything at once. They try to go from here to here. They try to, oh, it's a new funnel. Let me give you a better example. Imagine that you planted a tree, right? Or like a flower that turns into a tree, because apparently I can't draw a tree. If it took, I mean, does a tree or a plant, does it produce fruit right away, or does it take a while? Right away or a while?
Takes a while.
Takes a while, right? Okay. So you have to nurture the plant until it gets big enough to produce fruit, okay? Now, as time goes on and you keep nurturing it and keep watering it, it gets even bigger, so it produces a ton of fruit. Is that correct? So the bigger the tree gets, the more fruit it produces. The more what?
Fruit.
Fruit. Okay? So here's the thing. Imagine for a moment if you planted a tree, right? And it didn't, within a week, it didn't produce fruit. And you said, you know what? This tree sucks. And you just yanked it up and you put another plant or another tree down. And then that tree didn't produce within 2 weeks. And this sucks. And so you plant another one. In a year, in 2 years, in 5 years, how much fruit would you have?
None.
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 You'd have none. So here's what happens in internet marketing. We plant a tree, it doesn't immediately produce, and so we yank it and plant another one. That one doesn't immediately produce, and so we yank it and plant another one. That one, when the whole time, if you would have just practiced the law of marginal gains, if you would have just started with something kind of crappy but simple, and worked to improve it a little bit each day, why do you think they call it the snowball effect? That's when it snowballs. It starts small and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But you can't expect this tiny little snowball to immediately be here without going down the hill. And that is the biggest thing. Why do you think when we serve our clients in the daily sales huddle, we do a daily call? Because we practice the law of marginal gains. Maybe on the call, you fix one tiny thing, one little mistake that cost you a sale. Okay, you fixed it. And now you don't make that mistake again. And then another thing, and then, you learn what? It adds up and it adds up and it adds up. And next thing you know, you have a big snowball of sales and money. That is the biggest problem with this industry. And we try to help you improve 1% a day, so eventually your business bears more fruit than you could ever imagine. That's what we try to do. And that's what we practice in our business. And that's what you should practice in your business, in my opinion. Okay? So understanding the law of marginal gains, it works for marketing, it works for sales. Does everybody get this? Is this what was the saying that you guys, who said yesterday? What was the saying you told me to say? It wasn't do you feel me? What was it?
I can smell what you're cooking.
Do you know what I'm cooking?
Yeah. I got to use that. I like that one. I've never had a good one, but I like that one. Do you smell what I'm cooking?
Got
Okay.
you.
Do you smell what I'm cooking? Is it up in your nostrils? All right.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Pick it up and up. See, I like that one better, but I don't like stealing it from Myron. So I gotta, you gotta smell. You gotta smell things for me. Okay. Phil, are you about ready? I just want to make sure that you're ready, sir.
Yep,
That
I'm
I
good to go,
can.
sir.
You're good to go? Okay, awesome. So here's what we're going to do, guys. I just explained to you the law of marginal gains. And now what Phil's going to do is he's going to show you what this, because Phil, would you disagree that is essentially the whole overall concept of a 9-figure sales team is what I just explained, the law of marginal. Would you agree?
Correct. Sniper
Yeah.
approach versus shotgun approach.
Right. Okay. So Phil's going to come on and he's going to show you what this looks like in actual action. All right. And by the way, one more time, are you guys ready to get torn up a little bit? Phil's a military guy and he doesn't have time for your internet marketing BS. So he's going to light you up a little bit. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Let's go, Phil. Let's
All
go.
right. All right, Phil. Carla, make sure he's spotlighted. Phil, take it away.
Beautiful guys. So just like Dan said, my name is Phil Bohol, and I'm the military guy. But Dan said it best. I'm not an internet marketer, so I like to do a lot of boring stuff. So you can look at this training like the boring guy. But today I'm going to share with you guys how a boring guy like me that came from a third world country, had no audience, no following, basically got from inconsistent 10K months with my own coaching program to 30K to 50K to 100K in just 3 quarters. So that's every 90 days, I'm hitting a new milestone inside of my business. And what I was selling was confidence. All right. Does anybody have any idea what confidence goes for in the high ticket coaching space? Go ahead, unmute yourself. Let me know. What do you think I was charging for confidence?
I think maybe you were
25K.
where you started or where you ended.
I started where I started.
Oh,
Mm,
2,500.
500.
2,500. What else?
500.
997.
997. I heard
20K.
500. What else?
20K.
Ooh, beautiful. 20K. All right, guys. So when I first got started out, I had 0 clients, 0 audience. I had nothing going for me except my hustle, my drive, and the boringness I brought to business. But starting off, I started at 7.5K. Okay. No audience. I was charging 2 to 3 times more than all of my direct competitors, all of the influencers and gurus out there. When I started crushing it at 7.5K, again, it was inconsistent though, because what I was learning in the internet marketing community was it was planting a new thing, a new seed every time. It was the next funnel, the next thing, the next shiny object. And that's what kept me stuck at around 10K inconsistently. When I started raising my prices, I started charging 15K, 18K, 30K, upwards of 50K for one-on-one clients for confidence and strategy. And what I focused on was the boring stuff. All right. And this is kind of why I have a chip on my shoulder as far as like what's out there in the internet marketing community, because it gets a lot of great people with a lot of great superpowers and expertise stuck in the wrong rat race. They're focused on building the new thing. And these are people that actually get results for people, probably just like you guys and why you joined this challenge. But unfortunately, in internet marketing, they teach you shiny object syndrome. They build this terrible habit so they can eat your money. But it's the boring things that actually allowed me to get from here to here to here to here. And I was able to go from 10K per month. And guys, I always talk in cash. I don't do the revenue bullshit that everybody talks about, which is I'm doing $100,000 in revenue, but you're only collecting 10K in cash. Everything that I'm talking about today is in cash collected. All right. So I was pushing 10K per month, 30K per month, 50K per month, 100K plus per month. And the way that I was able to do this was I was focused on the boring things that nobody wants to work on. All right. I wasn't focused on, while my peers were focused on building a new funnel, building a new challenge, building a new webinar, building something new. I was focused on exactly what Dan was talking about, the boring shit. I was allowing myself to get better 1% every single day. And that's what allowed me to every 90 days get to a new height inside of my business. I saw yesterday, everybody wants to get to about 30, 50K, 100K cash. How fast do you guys want to get there? Let me know.
Yesterday.
Tomorrow.
Yesterday. All right. So I'm going to tell you
As
right now,
fast
it's
as
not going to be
possible.
building out a new funnel. Again, when I was doing $100,000, I barely had 300 people inside of my Facebook group. What I'm going to be teaching you guys is really understanding what makes an internet marketer fail and what makes an elite 9-figure structure succeed, even if it's more boring than the fancy stuff you guys are going to see. All right. Anybody here prior service?
I am, yes.
All right. Who was that?
Zach.
Zach. All right, brother. So help me out with this, right? So when the military goes through an operation or goes to war, do we activate the day before and let them know, hey guys, nobody knows what's happening. Let's just go tomorrow. Is that how deployments happen?
No, you train for 18 months and deploy for 6.
There we go. You train for 18 months and you deploy for 6. So a lot of the times in like war movies, people see an activation, people see a deployment, and there's like everybody's gung-ho, ready to go all the time. But Zach just said 18 months for a 6-month deployment. So how is that any different in the internet marketing industry? A lot of the times people think if I create the new funnel, if I create the new thing, if I create a new sales process, I'm immediately going to get results. But they want to be elite. But the most elite fighting force in the world takes 18 months to prepare for a 6-month push. Anybody watch those war movies and think that it just happens on the fly? Anybody?
That's what I thought before I joined.
There we go, right? That's what we think. But the reality is there's so much training happening in the background. There's a lot of that 1% growth every single day that allows you to be elite. So when we think about growing to a 30K per month, 50K per month, 100K, 250K, 500K, $1 million per month company, it's not the next thing. It's not the next seed that we plant. It's focusing on the one seed that we plant and continue to nurture it until it grows and blossoms and grows and blossoms. All right. So if you guys get into the internet marketing game and you follow the next thing, right? So there was a time where it was like Instagram shout outs. Then it was like DM setting, right? DM closing, next funnel, you're one funnel away, right? Challenge funnels, all of these different things. If you continue on that path and you never focus on actually nurturing the seed, are you less likely to fail or more likely to fail if you continue on that path?
Most likely to fail.
More.
Yeah, you are more likely to fail. All right. So what I'm going to talk to you guys about today is really going to be the sins of the internet marketer. All right. And the reason why I want you guys to become aware of this is because awareness is going to be key for you to start making changes inside of your life and business. All right. So if this is true for you guys, let me know, because I'm going to basically write down all of the sins of an internet marketer and how that would translate to an elite 9-figure infrastructure so you guys can actually have more calm. Because would you guys like to have a business that if you took a vacation for 30 days, it's still there or it's growing? Does anybody want to create a business like that?
Yes.
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 All right,
Yes.
beautiful. So let's talk about the sins of the internet marketer. All right. Have you guys ever been in a position trying to scale up your company, but each and every month you're super reactive? Every single month you're wondering, how am I going to get to the next month? Has anybody ever experienced that?
Yeah.
Sorry, my life.
Yeah.
Beautiful. How does it feel? So you leave the 9 to 5 sector, you get into this game because you want to build your dream life, but every single month, if anything, you're pulling your hair out more because you don't have the safety of a 9 to 5. Is that what you got into this industry for?
No.
All right, beautiful. So you guys have to become aware of this stuff, right? Like we didn't get into this game just to be reactive in life every single day, worrying, especially if you guys have families, right? I have a wife, I have a daughter, and I'm constantly, especially in that 10K per month in consistent range, always worried about them. And the reason why we're always so reactive is because we're focused on what the internet marketing community tells us, which is I want results now. All right, I want results now, but you guys have to remember, we're building a business for a lifetime. We're not building something so that way we make a $50,000 cash injection 1 month, and for the next 6 months to 8 months, we're struggling. We're wondering how to convert the next deal, how to find the next person we talk to. But if we're always in a constant state of reaction, right? One thing the military teaches you, and Zach, you can attest to this, it's being able to detach and displace from the chaos around you. And when you're able to detach and displace, it'll actually allows you to see what's actually going on in the business and make adjustments from there. But if you're constantly looking down your scope, then you can't actually see anything else because you're in tunnel vision. You're in a reactive state. So I want you guys to understand that the 18 months that Zach was talking about for a 6-month deployment is planning. It's training. It's becoming the elite. But in the internet marketing community, they never plan. Always deploy, deploy, deploy. But if you never plan, if you never create a battle plan, a scheme of maneuver, something to follow that creates predictable results, how can you ever get stable with the company? Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I want you guys to understand it's never the new funnel. All right. Not the new funnel. You never want to be in that position. Okay. Because I'm going to translate this to elite infrastructure. Because again, it's going to sound more boring than it is. But if you guys are willing to walk down the boring path, this is how you're going to make a hell of a lot more money, probably trying a lot less. All right. Because what Dan was talking about yesterday, the only way to grow your company is what?
More sales.
More sales.
To
How do you get more
into
sales?
the uncomfortable.
To be uncomfortable. How do you get uncomfortable?
Have more conversations.
New things.
Have more conversations, build relationships. All right. So you guys have to understand it's not the fancy schmancy stuff. All right. But if we go from seed to seed to seed to seed, we're never going to grow. All right. So let me translate this to the elite 9-figure infrastructure so you guys can understand it. We can pass the mic back to Dan. So that way he can kind of capture all of this stuff. But is this all making sense so far, guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Has everybody felt this at some point in their business, or do you guys understand how this is very true for the internet marketing industry, how this is a constant battle every month?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
100%. Beautiful, guys. Beautiful. So here's how I want you guys to look at it, right? We're going to go from the shiny bells and whistles over here, and we're going to go to the fucking boring shit. All right. The boring shit, I promise you, it's a lot easier because when we think about the daily sales huddle, right? So we have like James crushing it right now. The reason why that is not because we're deploying new tactics, new strategies. If anything, we're getting laser focused on what needs to be accomplished every single day and controlling the desire to want to do more. A lot of the time, you guys have probably heard simple scales. Simple in your battle plan and what to deploy is what's going to scale your business. So when we think about being reactive in a elite 9-figure structure, you're being proactive. Okay. And again, we're going to get into the boring. So just get your coffee, get your water, because this is what's going to scale your company. A lot of the times people deploy an action plan and they think that this one thing, it's a new rep, it's a new setter, it's a new funnel, it's a new ad, it's a new something. It's going to change the game for their business. And that's why they're in a constant state of reaction. What we're talking about is when we plant a seed, being proactive, we plant the seed and we look at it. Is it dying? Is something happening to the seed because maybe the soil needs to get changed? And we're being proactive in making adjustments to the very thing we just deployed. And maybe we're looking at it where we change the soil and now it's actually growing a little bit more. We see it starting to sprout, but it's not sprouting as fast as we know it could. So we increase the amount of water we give it. And you can notice here, we're being proactive with modifying the very thing we started with. Just like Dan talked about, right? When we want that snowball effect, it's not the big things that make the big shifts. It's the little shifts that make the big shifts. All right, we want the snowball effect 1% better every single day. I want results now. This is the number one thing that is going to affect anybody. There's peers that I started in the industry with that are no longer in the industry. They're back to the 9 to 5. There's a lot of people that had a $10,000 a month, $30,000 a month, one fucking time, and now they're nowhere to be seen in the industry. It's because they always wanted results now. Who's guilty? As much as I was, making a decision in the business because of my short-term emotions. Who's guilty of that too?
Guilty as charged.
Beautiful. So we got to own that, but it's not a bad thing because we can grow from it, right? But I want results now. I'm building results for the future. Building for future. A lot of the times people don't want to do that. They don't know how to practice the discipline of delayed gratification. So that's why we always want results now. We always want to make the next quick buck now. I was always open in any infrastructure to create a plan, not so that way I can get results in the next 30 days, but over the next quarter, the next 90 days, the next 3 months, the next 6 months, the next 12 months. That's what I'm planting seeds for. That's what I'm being proactive about. Would you guys rather be in a position where in 3 months, maybe you have the highest month that you've ever had, right? Let's say that you're at 10K per month and you finally hit 30K and then you don't hit another 30K for another 9 months. Who wants that?
No.
Nobody. Would you rather have 10K and then grow to 15K or even 20K, but it's consistent every month for the next 9 to 12 months? Would you rather have that?
Yes.
Yes.
Beautiful. So when you guys start making decisions, you guys have to understand we're building for the future, because is anybody here building their business to just last until the end of 2023? Or are you guys building it to sustain you and give you your lifestyle for the next 5, 10, 15 years, or possibly even exiting the company?
Exiting the company.
Beautiful. All right. So we cannot make decisions, short-term emotional-based decisions, because it's going to affect us in the future. And you guys have to always remember that. You have to be proactive with any shifts that you're making. You have to ask yourself, not only how is it going to affect me in the next week, in the next month, but how is this ultimately going to affect my ability to sustain the business in the future? Never planning. This is a huge one. Have you guys ever done a launch, a workshop, something where you were trying to have it save your business, a new funnel, a new strategy, an event? Has anybody ever deployed one of those things and maybe it didn't pan out the way that we wanted it to?
Yep.
Okay. So planning, it's something that most people don't want to do because, again, it's quick cash. But the way that you guys plan in a 9-figure infrastructure, all right, and I believe we have a Danielle that you had a 23 annual quota. When you had an annual quota for 23 million, were you just constantly telling your teams, let's do this, this, and this, get it done by tomorrow? Or how did you deploy those strategies?
Collaborations, kind of, for me, it's work smarter, not harder. Who do I need to partner up with to make this happen? So I had to go for high valued clients, right? So higher tickets. I can't be in like the low ticket because you'll never hit your 23 million mark. And yeah, planning and just putting yourself out there. So back in 2018, when LinkedIn, they didn't even know what an octopus was. That's what I did, right? I did the octopus, like, you know, customized messaging back when. And, you know, the owner of the company was like, Danielle, how are you getting all these leads? I'm like, I'm just putting myself out there and connecting with all the people. And I'm not afraid to go for the, you know, the big guys, because it's just having a conversation. So for me, it's like, I may not be everyone's cup of tea, but that's okay. I know that if you have a problem and if we're a good fit, I have the solution for that.
100%. But what happens if you did that one time, or you deployed this out to your team one time, and everybody took that as a loss? Everybody became reactive because they wanted to close the deal now versus planting those seeds. What would that have done to you and your quota?
If they were if they felt defeated, you mean? Like they're like, oh, it
Defeated,
didn't work.
they took it as a loss, all of that.
Yeah, that's why as a leader, you have to be that high energy of like, we can't sit in the shit, you guys. Like, we have to just maybe, let's assess where we could do better and let's do better, right? But not pulling out the seed and starting fresh again, because then you're back at square one. So it's
we
kind of like the little tweaks of like, okay, maybe instead of saying this, say this, or instead of pitching like this, pitch this way, right? Kind of just little tweaks, not like taking out the seed and replanting.
There we go, right? So Dan was talking about the other day as far as like surveying your audience, right? The reason why we survey the audience is because we don't have to do it perfect the first time around. But when we're planning to get the intel because we're building for the future, this allows us to optimize what we're doing, how we're delivering things, how we're acquiring clients, the reasons why they're not booking calls with us, the reasons why they're not closing with us, how we're communicating, getting that feedback, and being able to take the feedback without taking it as a loss. All right, that's planning. That's battle planning. It's just like going to war without a fucking plan. You're going to die or you're going to get somebody killed. So you guys have to remember that we planned for success. Because when we plan, are we less likely to succeed or more likely to succeed?
More likely.
Likely.
Beautiful. Awesome, guys. So is this making sense how the boring shit is what's actually going to get you to stabilize your business and actually grow for the long term, and how the compounding effects doesn't mean that you're just going to get from 10K to 20K, that this is the thing that's going to get you to 20K, 30K, 50K, 100K, where you're wanting to go shorter because you're taking the slower path. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. You guys see that?
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
And I think Phil too, everyone thinks that growth is like when everything is happening, like all the good things are happening, and they don't see growth as like, oh, there are like, like sucky things that happen too, but you're still growing. It's not
right?
always going to be perfect sunshine and butterflies.
Yeah, you're going to have seasons in your business and your growth, and you have to be able to experience that. You have to have the discipline that if you're not seeing an exponential growth because you're not in scale phase and you're in sustain phase, that is okay. But if you start, again, becoming reactive versus understanding there's seasons in your business where you stabilize so you can have consistency, then you're going to keep making the wrong choice. You're going to keep making the wrong call. All right. Let's talk about funnel. Okay. So this is something that Dan taught me very, very well. And again, guys, like I invested with Dan at a 10K level. I invested with Dan to go on his yacht for 12 hours for, I think it was like 20, 25 grand or something like that. And then I paid the guy $100,000 to learn marketing because, again, I'm not a marketer. I'm not an internet marketer. So I needed to fill in those gaps. But what he taught me was the singular focus, right? The sniper approach to things. And when we think about the new funnel, guys, you have to understand it doesn't matter what your funnel looks like. It doesn't matter. It's simple scales, right? It's not about the new funnel. It's about the old. Okay. And what I'm talking about with the old, it's the old strategies. It's the things about building relationships, starting conversations, doing the things that most people, right? Because I'm hearing, I don't want to talk to this person because they suck or they're not thinking properly. You guys have to remember, it is not their responsibility to be your perfect buyers. It's your responsibility to get them to the point where they know they have a problem that they want to solve through your services. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. Beautiful. So when we think about a funnel, guys, you guys probably already have a lot more leverage than when I started out. The biggest thing about the funnel is you need to go back to old strategies. You need to go back to the boring ways of things. You got to go back to understanding what is broken in this process based on the feedback that I'm getting, so that way I can continue to optimize. So for example, if you were at a Fortune 500 company and you had to direct traffic during a Black Friday sale, so that way you can crush a 15, 20, 30 million, $50 million goal. All right. If that's the process, you have to ask yourself, how am I funneling people through their buyer's journey to end up at the deal, to end up to wanting to give me their money? And you guys have to consistently optimize the one funnel that you have. It's getting the feedback. It's asking yourself, if in the next 30 days, I was just able to add another $10,000 in revenue to the existing funnel, the old funnel that I have, am I going to be successful? And if I do that and I gather all of the information, I'm very proactive with looking at the feedback. What are people telling me they're experiencing through the funnel, right? Just like you guys gave us the feedback, the link doesn't work. We didn't melt down and drop this entire challenge because one link didn't work. We asked you, thank you for letting us know. We fixed it and we were good to go. If you guys are in constantly that proactive state of mind, nothing's ever a problem. All right. And every time you guys make decisions based on old strategies, again, guys, sales and business hasn't changed for the last 5,000, 6,000 years, or probably more than that. So stop trying to find the new thing and focus on the things that we're talking to you, the basic fundamentals that creates a core elite team. Because it's the elite that train the same boring thing every single day, especially like what Danielle said. It's not always going to feel like rainbows and butterflies and sunshine and rainbows, okay? It's going to feel sometimes like we're not moving. But sometimes the 1% better is just that this month, you didn't freak the fuck out that you didn't have cash to collect. Maybe next month, I was very confident that we were going to crush our $15,000, $30,000, $50,000 goal, and I didn't really have to lift a finger. Sometimes that's improvement, sometimes that's growth. So what you guys need to do if you want to create more of an infrastructure is you need to be proactive in asking yourself, where are the faults in my business and how do I make it better? If you guys are building for the future, right, ask yourself to displace and detach from the emotion, right? You guys ever hear from, I believe it's like Warren Buffett, if you make decisions in the stock market with your emotions, you probably shouldn't be in the stock market. Has everybody heard from an investor standpoint, you never bring emotions into investing?
Yes. Yes.
Same thing in your business, all right? If you start feeling anxiety, fear, anything like that at all, you must become aware to detach and displace from that and ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? And how do I prevent it in the future so that way it's not a constant issue in my business? Plan with yourself, plan with your team. You guys have to take the time to actually stop being the internet marketer for a day and actually learn how to be a business owner for a day. Everybody heard of a business plan before?
Yes.
Yes.
When's the last time you guys did a business plan? Business planning?
3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago. Beautiful. Anybody else?
2009.
2009. I appreciate the transparency,
I'm
right?
making it up as I go along.
Make it up as you go along. And that can work. Again, if you just want to make a $5,000 to $10,000 per month business, that's all you have to do. It's not that hard. It's 2 people you got to talk to at 5K. But if you guys want to build something that's putting cash in your pocket every single month, changing your life, your family's life, having an impact on the world, it's the boring shit. It's the business planning. It's understanding where my business is at, where it needs to be. All right. And again, plan with yourself, plan with your team. Use the old tactics that have been there. The things that we're teaching you now, guys, like we're not reinventing the wheel here. What we're doing right now with the internet marketing community is helping them slow down from the rat race of internet marketing and get back down to the basics, because basics and simplicity scales. All right, Dan, anything that I'm missing?
No, man. I mean, you said it, and your Warren Buffett quote. If you can't manage your emotions, you can't manage money. It's absolutely true. And guys, this is the thing: is boring scales. Boring scales. I would say this: your business is not meant to entertain you. It's meant to make you money. Take that money and go do something to entertain you. You know what I mean? Like, that's what you should be doing. Phil, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it, man. I really, really do. Was that helpful, guys, from Phil?
It was great, man.
Yes.
All right. Awesome. This chair.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Give him a round of applause.
Yes. Thank you,
Phil.
Phil.
What I'd like to do is bring you on maybe tomorrow or Friday, and I'd like to do some objection role playing. And you can do some, I can do some, and you can also, Phil has some really cool follow-up strategies that he does. He sends funny memes for follow-up, which I find hilarious. So he can maybe share a couple follow-up strategies. All right, so guys, go ahead and grab your workbook. Where did I put mine? Let me grab it. Grab your workbook. So who here did their homework and actually read the Pocket Guide to High Ticket Selling? Who did that?
Yep.
You did? All right. General admission, I hope you guys did as well.
I bought it, but it hasn't arrived yet.
Oh, you can get it on Amazon Kindle or whatever for 99 cents.
Oh,
I
so-
read it. Awesome. Thank you, Dan.
Awesome. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna flip open, and the script inside of it's called the Big Money script, because every time I use it, I make money. I know that's cheesy, but so what I want to do is I want to make sure you guys all understand the purpose of the 12 phases, because understanding the purpose of the 12 phases is huge. So can anybody tell me what the purpose of phase 1 rapport is?
Build a relationship with the client. Connection.
Get some trust.
It's write this down. It's to get the customer to relax. Anybody here have ever been pulled over?
Mhm.
By police officer? If the police officer, like when the police officer first walks up, you know, you're a little tense, right? Like a man with a gun is walking up to your window. It's a little tense. But if the police officer comes up and says, "Hey man, how you doing? I just need your license and registration." You're gonna feel like, how would you feel compared to a police officer that walks up and says license and registration? Which one are you gonna feel more relaxed with, the first one or the second one?
First one.
The first one, right? So a lot less chance of you doing something stupid. And so how and what you say can help someone relax. You're getting somebody on a call who they know that you're gonna ask them for a lot of money. All right? That's a very difficult thing to do when you're stressed. That's a very difficult decision to make when you're not relaxed. So all the purpose of rapport is to relax the customer. Okay? That's it. It's just to have a little chit chat, find common ground. If you read the book, you'll understand how to do it. Find common ground and relax so that you can have a conversation. All right, so write that down, is to relax the customer. That's it. The purpose of phase 2, expectations. What's the purpose of phase 2? Anybody know?
Control the call.
Yes, control the call. Control the call. So if I get on the phone and I just start talking to a customer, that call could go off the rails. But if I say, so how these calls normally go, it's sort of like a doctor's visit. I'm going to ask you some questions about your business, and then I'm going to give you a diagnosis of what I think the problem is. If that is a problem that we can solve, I'll tell you what we have to offer, and you can decide if you want to become a part of it or not. If not, then that's fine too. Sound fair? They say yes. They've now agreed to your call structure. The worst thing you can do is not set a call structure, because if you just start randomly talking about random stuff, it's going to go off the rails. You can't control the call. You have to get the customer to agree to how things will go. If you control the structure of the call, it's much easier to guide the customer to the place you need them to be. So write that down. The purpose of phase 2 is to control the call. The purpose of phase 3, decision makers, is to what?
See if there's anybody else that you need to get on the call.
It's to find out who you really need to speak to. It's to find out who you really need to speak to. Write that down. Find out who you really need to speak to. Now, guys, I would love to go through the entire book, but that would be like hours. We are going to do some role playing here. So that's going to be really cool in a minute. All right. Purpose of phase 4, the reason. What's the purpose of phase 4, the reason?
You want to specifically find out what they need help with.
Yes. So write this down. Find out what their problem is. Just find the problem. Find out what the problem is. I mean, all products are solutions to problems. What's their problem? That's what you're finding out. Next, the purpose of phase 5, dig, is to what?
Get the pain points.
It is to get the pain point, but it's to find out why they have the problem. Find out why they have the problem. And to furthermore that, so that they finally can think about why they have the problem. And what that problem is doing to them. What that problem is causing them, okay? So what's the purpose of phase 6? Tried. What's the purpose of phase 6? Tried.
Try to help actually you're not going to run into that objection.
To find out write this down. It's to find out what's not working. To find out what's not working. Okay? Next, phase 7, current and desired situation. Well, and just to speed this up, this is to find out what their expectations are. To find out what their expectations are. Where they are, where they want to be. Okay? You got to know that. Next is phase 8, the why. This is probably the most important one. Can anybody tell me the purpose of this, of phase 8?
Find their real motivator,
Find what?
pick their real motivation.
Yes, yes. So the why is to find, write this down, to find out what they really want. Let me give you an example. If you sell cars, right, and you sell Corvettes, red Corvettes, and one man walks in, and he says, I'm interested in this Corvette. What's the first question you should ask him? And can anybody tell me? What is
Why
it?
do you want this car?
What? Say it again.
Why do you want this car?
I wouldn't use the word why, but essentially yes. I would say what makes you want this car. I don't like the word why, because when you are a child and you do something wrong, what do your parents always say to you?
Why'd you do that?
Why'd you do that? So you get used to not liking when people ask you why you do things. That's the only reason. You ever had somebody ask you why you something and you get kind of annoyed? That's why, because you're just used to that word being associated with an abrasive situation. So I would say, what makes you want this car? Or how do you, I say what or how, that's a Chris Voss technique. So I said, what makes you want this car? So if a man walks in and he says, I want this car because I want to get laid. I want to attract women. The man is not buying the car. He's buying attention from women. That's what you sell him. If another man walks in and he says, you know what, my son is 12 years old. He absolutely loves Corvettes. He loves them. And he's just big on them. And I want to buy this Corvette so that every morning when I take my son to school, I can take him in a red Corvette and his friends can see him get out of a red Corvette. What is that person buying? Is he buying a Corvette or what is he buying?
Buying his son's
His
affection.
relationship.
Yeah, that man is a man that loves his son, right? And he wants to provide a good experience for his son. It's like you said, the relationship with his son. That's what you sell him. You barely talk about the car. So the phase 8 is what they truly want. Guys, do you guys really want $1 million? Like, do all of you want $1 million? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So real quick, just pick somebody. What are you going to do with $1 million? Specifically.
Invest it so my money can make money.
Okay, you're going to invest it. And if you make a bunch of money from that, what are you going to? So would I be wrong in assuming that you want long-term stability?
That's correct.
Okay. Can somebody else tell me what you would do with $1 million? What you would do with $1 million? A different answer.
Travel, have new experiences.
Travel and have new experiences. So so you both want $1 million, but one person wants long-term stability and the other one wants memories.
Oh, on both, but yeah.
Sure, but your first answer was, and look, everybody wants a little bit of everything, but we have primary motivations, right? So to say that what you want is $1 million is not what you really want. Because some people want to pay for their mother's cancer treatment. Some people want to travel. Some people want to save their marriage because they've been telling their wife that they were going to get a new house for 10 years and they haven't. That's what you sell them. That's the point. Sales is not about the product. It's about what the product gets you. What's the purpose of phase 9? What's the purpose of phase 9?
To get them to admit that they can't solve the problem all by themselves.
To get them to admit they need help. To get them to admit they need help. To get them to admit they need help. Phase 10, commitment. Write this down. The purpose of phase 10 is to get them to commit to pursuing help. To get them to commit to pursuing help. Now, the actual most influential part of the entire script, phase 11, the customized close. What is the purpose of the customized close?
To link your solution or your product with their specific problems.
To make the offer, to present the offer as if it's just for them. To present the offer as if it's just for them, or as if it was made for them. Every question that you ask prior to that leads to the customized close. I help people like you get thing that you want so they can have thing as a result. I help if you're a solo coach who's stuck at 10 grand a month and you need to get to 50, I help solo coaches stuck at, the 10K mark, scale up to 50. And I do that through daily sales training so that you can scale up and take that vacation with your wife you told me about earlier. If I'm dealing with somebody who already has a sales team, I work with business owners that, or like let's say he's a coach, he's got a sales team, or an agency. I work with agencies that have sales teams that aren't performing. We work with them every day to increase sales so that you can take your wife on that vacation and not be on the phone the whole time. You customize the close for them based on their previous responses. And finally, phase 12, price. What's the purpose of that? Purpose of that is to make the transaction happen. Make the transaction happen. And what do you got to do to make it happen? You have to tell them how much it is, and you have to close, and you have to get the payment. So the reason why we do price at the end, if possible, is so that if I say to you, all right, for instance, if I say to you, give me $10,000 and I'll give you something. I'm not going to tell you what it is. Don't worry about it. Give me 10 grand and I'll give you something cool. What would you say?
Most people say
No,
yes.
because I don't know the value of what you're giving me.
Exactly. Too bad it was a Lamborghini. You need to know that, right? So what this script does, it allows them to see the value specifically by getting them to articulate why it's so valuable, not you. Does everybody get that? Are you smelling what I'm cooking? Do you smell what I'm cooking?
Yes.
Smell it.
Yes.
Smells good.
No, just okay. So never in my life.
Oh, no way.
I'm already uppity enough. I'm okay. So here's what we're gonna do. Let's take a few people on. Has anybody read this book? Let me know if you've read this book.
Yeah.
Who said that?
Yes.
AJ.
Who was it? AJ?
Yeah, AJ.
AJ.
Oh,
Okay,
let me turn
so
on the camera.
so can you pick one of what on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate yourself in knowing being good at this book, being good how to sell? Where would you rate yourself scale of 1 to 10?
I mean, honestly, I don't know, like an 8.
An 8? You
I
rate
think so.
yourself? Okay,
I think
so let's see here. Let's go to phase. You down for a little role play?
Let's do it. Yeah, let's do it.
All right, phase 5, dig. Phase 5, dig. So let's say I'm the customer, you're the sales rep, and what do you sell?
SaaS, how to start a SaaS, white label SaaS business.
Okay. So I'm interested in starting my own software. I've tried to do it, but you asked me the reason that I'm on the call, and I say, well, I look for people that can help me build it. Or you said white label. I thought about building a software, and I've thought about, white labeling it, and I just don't know the route to go because I don't know which is better. I'm not sure if I want to develop my own thing or do a white label thing, and I'm really confused as which route to take. What would you? Now we enter phase 5, dig. What do you say?
Okay, I understand how that can sound confusing and where you're at. But can you expand a little bit more on why you're debating between doing it yourself versus white label?
Well, I just think that if it's white label, it's going to be common and everybody's going to have something like it. And if I do it myself, it'll be unique.
Got it. And is your goal to build something unique and your own, or are you trying to make money and build around something that already works and is battle tested?
Well, I'd like to make money, and I'd like to, yeah, I mean, I'd like something that I knew would work. Sure.
Of course, right? Most of us would. So, how long would you say you've been trying to, solve this problem that you have debating between building your own versus like starting a white label?
For the software, only a couple months.
Right. And if you built something yourself, is time valuable to you? Are you trying to go at it and reinvent the wheel, or do you want something that works that you can start seeing results from a lot quicker? What's more important to you? Building something that could take a long time, maybe work, maybe not, or pursue something that actually works that you can start seeing results quicker?
Well, I do want something that works that I can see results for, but I just feel like if I get something that everybody else has, then there's just going to be a lot of competition, and yeah, it might work, but if everybody's doing it, then why would I just don't think I could make as much money.
Gotcha. And are you making money right now with what you're doing?
Well, I don't have a software.
Right, exactly. And how long have you been trying to, again, figure this out on your own? Like if you pursue this on your own route, when?
I said 2 months.
Yeah. 2 months, right. And how much longer do you think it would take if you went at it on your own pace with your own design, your own software, versus implementing something that's already battle tested that you can launch in less than a week?
I'm not sure. I haven't evaluated it enough to know what that number would be.
Gotcha. Well, Dan, I guess moving forward, are you trying to continue to try to research and figure out ways to build your own software, or are you looking to work with someone that's already has a white label software that will help you customize it so it is your own, so it does stand out?
So let's pause. Okay. So that wasn't bad. Trust me, I have seen far worse. Okay. Couple things I would have done different. Number one, when he said, I've only been trying to figure out the SaaS for a couple months, I would have said, well, how long have you been trying to make money? How long have you been trying to create your own business? Because if he says only a couple months, that's not much pain. But if I flip that to, well, how long have you been trying to just make money in general? Now I'm going to say years. And now that's going to feel worse. Okay. The part where I was giving you the grief on white label versus custom, and I said, well, if everybody's doing it, I feel like there's a lot of competition. What I would say is, well, what would you think if nobody was doing it?
Facts. Yeah, that's a good valid point.
You see what I mean? Because now it's like, well, if nobody's doing it, then would you say that maybe that's because it's not working? I mean, how many people sell, like, have you ever eaten Chinese? Do you like Chinese food?
Yeah, unfortunately, too much. Yes.
Right. Well, how many Chinese restaurants are there?
Countless.
Do you think that the people who start Chinese restaurants are worried that all of a sudden there's too many Chinese restaurants?
No.
So are you saying that are you scared that you'll have too much competition, or are you scared more that you'll have too much competition, whereas so many people are doing this and so many people are making money and it's a booming industry? Or are you more scared that no one might be doing it, like your unique idea? How many people are doing that idea? And you'd say, well, nobody. I say, well, then how do you know it works? Are you Do you think it's smarter to invest your time, money, and energy into something that you don't know that works, or into something that you do know that works, but you just have to be mildly, marginally better than the person in last place?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
That makes sense. Yeah.
So it wasn't bad.
Also-
It was just, there was a couple opportunities there that you missed to get to the real root of the problem. Like especially the time period when I said and I did that specific on purpose. I said, I've only been trying to figure out the software for 2 months. The first thing I would ask is, well, how long have you been trying to create your own business? And I probably would have said, well, how long have you worked at a 9-to-5 job? Oh, 10 years. Is that where, do you want to be working at a 9-to-5 job next year? Go wider, if you don't find the pain, then expand. And then, once they tell you,
Dan, I got a quick question.
yeah. Who's that?
I was just going to ask you, because you said this is still AJ. You mentioned that the customer, the prospect should do 95% of the talking, right?
Uh-huh.
I used to do really well with my past coaching program where I did a lot of story selling. What do you think about that? I noticed with your system, with your script, it's a lot different than what I'm used to, because I used to inject stories into my sales conversation that would give them this image of how, they can picture being in the program. But you're saying that's a no-no, right? Don't tell stories, don't story sell.
I would only tell a story if I needed to overcome a belief. But if the belief's not there, I wouldn't waste the customer's time. Like that Babe Ruth close. I tell that when somebody says they don't have any money or they don't have the time. I say that one, but I'll lead them down that path. I'll say, so what are you saying, that you don't have the money, you don't have the time, or are you just saying that the conditions are not ideal? If you did have the money and you did have the time, you would do it, right? And they say, yes. I say, well, is the reason you don't have the money the entire reason why you're on the call? And they say, yes. I say, okay, so what we're really meeting with here is that you'll never have an ideal situation because it's like this loop. So right now, what you're saying is you don't want to move forward because the situation is ideal. Is essentially that what you're saying? I'll say yes. Then I'll move into the Babe Ruth close. Because I got to get them to believe. If they don't believe they should move forward when things are non-ideal, then they're never going to move forward. That's where I would tell a story. But I wouldn't just get on the call and start telling stories. I mean, because what happens if that's a story the customer doesn't need to hear? Now I've just wasted time and wasted my time, wasted their time. I'm talking about something they don't care about. I don't like when I find out what their problems are and I pitch the offer and they ask me what's included in the offer, I will sometimes leave out things that are included and I won't mention because I know they're not interested in them. And if you tell somebody that it has this, and that, but they don't need this, they're thinking they're paying for something they don't need. So when you tell the story of what it's like, you may be talking to them about a bunch of stuff that they don't need or they don't care about. So I would only tell stories if I need to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, cool. But good job. That wasn't bad. That was not bad. Who else here? Anybody else here maybe a little bit newer, but you have read the book? And was that little interaction helpful?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. Marty, do you want to go?
Sure, I'll get mad at you.
All right, let's do phase 8. Why? Okay. So I've told you that I've told you that by the way, where would you rate yourself scale? Oh, hold on. I'm sorry. AJ, do you still give yourself an 8? Do you still give yourself an 8 on that script?
No, not after that, honestly. Probably more like a 6.
Okay. I absolutely admire your honesty. That is a huge, that's called being coachable. So that's awesome. Give AJ a round of applause for it takes a lot to get up there and do that. But I know that he's a sales guy. So he was, you have a little bit more of that sales acumen. So I know that you were going to do fine. Marty.
Yes.
All right. So I I want to flip houses. Let's see, where were we at here? You know, I've tried this, I've tried that. My current situation is I don't have any flips, and I'd really like to be able to flip at least a couple houses this year. And now you move into the why.
So are you working full time now? What's your current situation like with how you,
That,
how
no,
you make money now?
you're in the wrong one. You're in.
Oh, God, yeah. Why?
I told you that I got a job, but I want to flip at least 2 houses this year.
Got it. So is that because, are you looking to like replace the income that you have at your job now, or is this something you just want to do like part-time? Supplement the income you've got.
Well, part-time sounds good.
Got it. So you want to flip 2 houses in the next 12 months. Is there something you want to do with the money you make from the 2 houses that you flip?
Well, I guess pay my bills.
Got it. So you want to be able to pay your bills. I mean, what kind of bills do you have? I mean, because
I have bills like everybody. I have electric, I have phone, I have bills like everybody.
Right. Well, usually what I'd say is, flipping houses is not a get rich quick business. It's not even a pay your bills.
Who said I said I wanted to get rich quick? I just said I wanted to pay my bills.
Got it. Well, it's not a pay your bills quick business either.
So you're saying your program can't help me pay the bills?
Not right away.
Okay. Okay. You want me to give you some coaching here?
Listen, you said 1 to 10, 0 to 10. I would give myself like is a negative. I've been following this script, Dan, and like I'm terrible at this. I don't want to do it.
Marty, you just need to get 1% better each day, man. That's it. Don't try to get 50% or 100% better, just 1%. So here's how you can get 1% better right now. Okay. So when I said, let's go back. So I said, I want to flip a couple houses a month. What did you say?
I asked if, you work, is this to like supplement your income or replace your income?
Okay. So what I would have done is I would have said, what would you like to make off those 2 houses?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because you kind of went down this weird path of you skipped and it's like, we're not even quantifying anything yet, Right. So I would say like, what would you like to make? And then if I'd have said, ooh, I'd love to make $10,000. I would say, okay, so you want to make an extra $20,000 in the next year. Is there a reason? Now that's a low goal, right? So I would say, is there a reason why you want to make so little? Most people I work with when they flip houses, they try to do it as full-time as possible, and they'll make an extra, $100,000, $150,000 a year. Is there a reason why you only want to make 20? Oh, I didn't know I could make that much. Well, yeah. So the average deal is about 20,000, and they generally take 60 days to flip. I don't know. I'm just making this up because I don't flip houses. So that's what's 6 times 20? That's 240,000. But that's after a few years. 100, in your first year is a little bit more reasonable. Is there a reason you don't want to make 100? Well, honestly, I didn't know I could make that much. Okay. Would you like to make that much? Yes, I would. So what would that look like? How would $100,000 change your life if you had that? And look, the reason I ask, if you sense some pushback, you can say, look, the only reason I ask is I want to make sure that you're serious, and that if we help you with this, you're going to take it seriously. So I always ask, if your life would look better, because if it's not going to look better, most people, if that doesn't put a substantial dent in their life, they're not going to do the work. Right. That's only if you get pushback. And so he says, oh yeah, my life would look amazing. What's amazing? What would you be able to do with $100,000 extra a year that you can't do now? Well, and then you just go down this rabbit hole. Well, I'd get a new house. So if I say, well, I'd get a new house, what would you say?
What makes you want a new house?
Okay, well, that's fine. That's fine. I like to say, oh, what kind of house? And I like to really let them tell me.
Like pick out all the appliances and the
Yeah,
cabinets
yeah,
and
exactly.
Yeah.
But what did you just find? So I would like, I want a bigger house because we have 3 kids and we have a 2-bedroom right now. It's really tough. The kids are always fighting. My wife's getting sick of it. So I just want a bigger house.
Got it. So
Yeah, I would say, so I would use mirroring and matching. I'd say, oh, your wife's sick of it? Because it's a little awkward to say, would your wife leave you if you didn't get the house? Like that's just, a little bit much. So I would say, just repeat back the last 3 words. Like, oh, your wife would be angry. Oh, your wife's frustrated. Yeah, she's just, she told me that if we don't get a new house soon, it's going to be trouble. Oh, it's going to be trouble? Yeah, I mean, honestly, man, I might get a divorce. All you got to do is get them to keep talking. People will just completely blah, 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 at the mouth if you just let them speak. What does that look like? Oh, she'd be angry? Yeah, she'd be really angry. And they'll just go. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And when they go, now you know. When they go, now you know. So let them go. Let them talk.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think you got at least maybe a half a point from that?
Yes.
Yes.
I was a little,
Yeah.
it's being put on the spot like that. Makes me a little nervous. So yeah,
Well,
I'm a little better at it than I just was now.
But isn't every sales call being on the spot?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Consider this overtraining. If you can do it okay here or on our daily sales huddle calls, you can do it great when you're just on the call with the customer.
Yeah.
It's almost like overtraining,
Yeah.
All right.
I dread this part of it. I do. I just cannot.
You can't listen. What I learned.
I know I got to change the way I think about it. Yeah, but.
Well, I learned this from Grant Cardone. He said something to me. He said, the thing you hate the most is always the thing that's going to get you to the next level.
Yeah, I did your Grant Cardone, the notes thing. I did that. I read and I see
that. You did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I have that like highlighted, capitalized. So.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. All right. We'll do one more and then I'm going to go through a couple more things here with you guys and then we'll end. We'll try not to end too late today. So far, is this good? Are you guys learning a lot?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Dan.
Let's let one of the ladies try. I want to make sure that we get some diversity in here and we're not just you going with the same people. Are there any ladies in the audience that would like to try this? Or not? Suzanne, anybody?
I can give it a go.
Yes, Suzanne left, but we got Mara. We'll go with her.
Okay, Dan, if you want to go, that's fine.
Who is it? Who wants
No,
to go?
Suzanne left. You're good, Mara. Go for it.
Okay, Mara. Hey, how you doing? How's it going?
I'm good. I'm here with you.
You having a good time?
I am. I'm learning new stuff and it's huge. I feel very grateful.
Awesome. Let's do this. Let's do phase 2. So what do you sell?
Coaching for creatives.
Okay. Have you read the book?
Yep, I read it last night.
Okay. Scale 1 to 10, how good do you think you are at it after reading it?
I think intuitively a 5, but practically like a 4.5.
Okay. All right. Well, at least you're honest. All right. I did this challenge, not this challenge, but I did a challenge like a couple of years ago, and everybody who got on, I would ask them, and they'd say 9, 8, 9, and then after they did it, they'd be like 5. Because you don't like. And look, the point I'm trying to make here, guys, is how many of you, and especially in general admission, how many of you review your calls weekly? How many of you record your calls and actually, like, if you don't review your own sales call recordings weekly, say me. If you don't, say me.
Me.
Is that it? Anybody else? Everybody else reviews their sales calls weekly. Is there anybody else who does not review their sales calls weekly? Your mic's muted, but I see that. So the point here is that when you hear it back, you realize where you are. But if you just hear it while you're saying it and you're in it, you don't realize it, okay? So we'll do one more, and then I got a couple cool things to teach you. Do we still have... I know I'm going overtime a little bit. Let me see if I can... Did we lose a bunch of people at 12, Carla, or is it about the same?
Yeah, we lost a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I go over. I'm so sorry. I can talk. That's all right. You know what? I'll save these things for tomorrow. Yeah. Okay. All right. We'll do one more, and then I'll go into the homework. So let's do expectations. So we had some chit chat. Tell me the expectations for the call, Mara.
So where you're acting as the client that I want to sell?
Yeah, we just had some chit chat. We just got past rapport, and now you're going to set the expectations for the call.
Okay. So Dan, tell me more about what you'd love to get out of the course over the next 3 months.
Okay, so that is nowhere in the script at all, and it's definitely not in phase 2. Phase 2 is where you set the expectation for the call. Okay.
Oh, the first part, like the actual. Sorry, I thought we were at the end of the call where you said
phase 2 expectations. Phase 2. So you tell me how the call's going to go.
Okay. So Dan, what I would like to do on this call is it's kind of like I'm like a doctor and you have a problem. Like, you know, when you go to the doctor and you have a problem, and I listen a lot to what's going on, and then I'm going to give you an idea of a diagnosis. Is that okay with you?
Okay. It could be smoother. First of all, I believe you said, here's how I like to run these calls.
Yep.
I would say, here's how these calls usually go. Okay. And then I would say, when you said, is that okay with you? I would sound a little less inquisitive and more nonchalant. I would say, you know, I'm going to ask you some questions about your creative business. I'm going to give you a diagnosis like a doctor would. And if we can help with that diagnosis, we have a solution to that. I'll tell you what that looks like. And then you can decide to become a part of it or not. And that's it. Does that sound fair?
That sounds good.
Okay, so it's here's how the calls go. I'm going to ask you questions about your situation. I'm going to determine why you have the problem. I'm going to see if I have a solution to it. And if I do, I'll explain it to you. You can decide, does that sound fair? Okay?
Yep.
And the smoother and the more articulate you do that, the more control over the call you will have. Okay? So what number do you give yourself? Would you say 4? You said practically 4.
At a 2.
Would you? Okay. So here's the point I'm trying to make, ladies and gentlemen, and you can spotlight me, Carla. What would you guys rate, like me or Phil, on that scale of 1 to 10?
10.
Okay. 10. So I honestly believe, Mara, I think 4, 4 was good. I believe AJ was good with his assessment. I think you guys were all good, especially after you did it. So here's the question. Mara, let's just say you're at a 2. Okay. Yep. How much if you don't mind sharing, how much are you making in your business, or how much have you made in your business so far?
Last year we did 100K in coaching.
100K. Okay. So here's the point I'm trying to make to all of you, right? If Mara is at a 2 and A 2 equals $100,000. And Mara, where would you assign me?
Well, I would give you more than a 10, but you know.
Well, it only goes up to 10. You're so kind, but it only goes up to 10. 10. How much have I made?
30 million.
30. It's more than that, but that sounds nice. So 30 million. So if you're a 2 and you've made 100,000 and I'm a 10 and I've made 30 million, then what would it do for you if I could just get you to a 5?
A lot.
You know, let alone a 6 or a 7. Heck, if you were even at a 4, would it be a lot more than $100,000?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the point. Guys, if you just get, if you get a little bit better at funnels, you will not make that much more money. If you get a little bit better at ads, you will not make that much more money. If you get a little bit better at branding, you will not make that much more money. But if you get a little bit better at selling, you will make astronomically more money. And selling, conversation selling, is the old. All that other stuff is the new. And the new's shiny and the new's great, but the new will not work without mastery of the old. The new will crumble and fall if you don't have mastery of the old. That is really what's happening in this industry, is nobody wants to master the fundamentals. They just want the shiny object. So I hope that was helpful. So I'm going to cover a couple quick things here on this worksheet. So I just wanted to give you guys some extra value. So 7 things you didn't know about sales. We'll do this rapid fire. A refund request is the best chance for anybody guess? A refund request is a what? A what?
Upsell.
Upsell, correct. I had a customer one time wanted a $10,000 refund, got on the phone with him, and I said, well, what's the reason for the refund? Well, I'm not getting enough attention. You're not getting enough attention. What would enough attention look like? I want to be able to talk to you, Dan. I want to be able to come and hang out at your office. I want to sit down and have you help me. I said, okay. So it sounds like you paid for a product and you didn't get what you wanted. You didn't get what would really help you. Yeah. Okay. If you had that, do you think it would help you? Yes. How much would it help you? It would help me a lot. It would help me immensely. How much more money do you think you'd make? I'd make an extra $1 million at least, but I need that. Cool. So if that's the case, why did you buy the product that doesn't include that? What do you mean? So did we promise that in this product? Well, no, but I just, okay, well, here's the thing, John, you can have that. I can give that to you. I can do that. Everything you just listed, you can have, but it's my mastermind and it's $55,000. So here's what I'm going to do. I am not going to try to keep your 10,000. You know why? This program is not for you. You're far beyond this program. This program is not going to help you. So I give you 2 choices. I can either refund your 10,000 because I'm not going to keep that, or you can wire me 45 and you can get everything that you just asked for that you said would completely change your business. Which one would you like to do? 10 minutes later, he wired 45 grand. And the rep that told me about the refund said he was unclosable. He was unrecoverable. The refund request is the best chance for an upsell. An angry customer is simply someone testing your what?
Skills?
Your resolve. Your resolve. If I'm an angry customer, especially on a sales call, and I say something to you and you lose your cool, that shows that is a trait of being unstable, right? That is a trait that is a trait of weakness. If, however, I say something and I notice you don't get upset, that exudes confidence, that exudes stability, and that exudes being stable. And no one wants to invest with someone who seems weak, unstable, or easily movable. So an angry customer, don't worry about an angry customer, because a lot of times they're just testing you. They're just testing you. Don't let that, it's your opportunity to show strength. And people buy from people who are strong. No matter what happens? Always what with the customer? Always what with the customer?
Agree.
Agree. All right, Dan. You know, I really want to buy your offer, but I don't like four eyes. I don't like guys with glasses. I agree. I hate my glasses as well. In fact, as soon as you send this wire, I'm going to make an appointment with my optometrist, and I'm going to see if I can get some contact lenses, because these things suck. Are you able to send the wire by 2 p.m.? Just agree and keep going. Most of the time, again, people are giving you a test. They're poking at you, and that's it. And people just do that naturally. Always agree with the customer. You know, I'm not interested. You get on the call. Let's say you were cold calling somebody. Hey, you know what? I'm just not interested. Of course you're not interested. I agree. Why would you be interested? I haven't had a chance to explain what I offer. Quick question. How many salespeople do you have? And just whatever, you just keep going. And believe it or not, they'll just keep talking. I really got to get off the phone. I agree. Time is money. I'd like to make you a lot more. I'd like to free up a lot of your time so you can make a lot of more money. You know, how many salespeople do you have? Just, you know, what's your biggest problem with sales? Just go. When someone asks for a pay plan, now I covered this earlier, so you guys should know this. When someone asks for a pay plan, always ask what?
Do you need one?
Do you need a pay plan? Exactly. If you were certain something would work, you would put all your time, money, and energy into it. Therefore, all objections are what? What are all objections? If you were certain something would work, you would put all your time, money, and energy into it. Therefore, all objections are, I'm not certain. Every objection is the same. It's I'm not certain. It's not I don't have the money. It's I'm certain that if I go and get the money, I'm not going to get it back. It's not I don't have the time. It's I'm uncertain that it'll be worth the time. I'm uncertain. And when you realize that, you realize it's all about figuring out how to get the customer certain. It's not a sales call. It's a what call?
Exploration?
It's a mindset call. Remember I talked about changing the vibration? That is done through that script. It changes their vibration to where they realize they have to move, they have to take action. It's a mindset call. It also sets expectations, so when you do make the sale, you're not doing it under crazy expectations. It's a mindset call. You got to teach your person how to be you got to teach them how to be the customer, not just try to convince the customer. It really is not a sales call. It's a mindset call. It changes how they think by getting them to say things out loud. If you do more than what % of the talking, you are losing the sale?
10.
Correct. If you do more than 10% of the talking, you are losing the sale. Okay. One thing I want to close here with is and by the way, I'll close with this, and then I'll do Q&A. Your homework is to book at least 2 more calls. Ask one hard question to someone. A lot of these questions in this script are very hard to ask. So here's what I want you to do. Go ask someone, doesn't have to be a sales call. Go ask someone a hard question. Go ask a woman how old she is. I don't recommend you do it, but if that's the only thing you got, do it. Go ask someone a hard question. If you walk up to somebody and say, how old are you? How old are you? The world's not going to end. But get comfortable with uncomfortable questions, because the ability to ask hard questions is directly related to how much money you can make, right? Imagine if you had a family member that you thought was depressed, but you weren't sure, and you never said anything because it's a hard conversation. And then, God forbid, down the line, they end up doing something bad to themselves. You'd go back and you'd say to yourself, I wish I would have just talked to them. I wish I would have just asked them how they were doing. But the reason you didn't is because it was a hard question. But if you did ask that hard question, that might have been the thing that stopped that bad thing from happening. If you want maximum results in your life and you want to change your life, you got to ask hard questions. So practice that. Ask one person a hard question. Ask your spouse, am I good in bed? Did I suck last night? And then, if possible, use the big money script. Use it. Try it on a call. Try it. That's your homework. Okay. So I'm going to end with this. I want you guys to, remember I talked about belief? You put all your time, money, and energy if you believe, right? Here's the thing. Does anybody know the story of King Solomon and the two mothers? Does anybody know that story?
No.
So this is interesting.
Hopefully.
There were, this is a very interesting story, okay? There were two mothers. I don't know why I drew that in black. Let's see. There were two mothers, okay? A little bit of hair. A little hair, right? Two mothers. They both had a little baby. And they both lived in the same house. One of the mother's babies died. And they both gave birth around the same time. So this is King Solomon over here, right? Here's King Solomon. Both mothers go to King Solomon and they say, this baby is mine. They both claimed the baby. Now, King Solomon knew, wait, gotta give him a little crown. King Solomon knew this was an impossible task. Back then, they didn't have paternity tests. They didn't have blood tests. They didn't have that, right? He knew this was an impossible task. So he said, because look, how would he know? There's no way for him to know. So he says to the women, he says, you know what? Here's the baby, right? He says, there is no way for me to know whose baby this is. So I'm going to do the only fair thing I can do. I'm going to cut the baby in half, and I'm going to hand each of you a half so you get an equal share. That's what King Solomon did. The mother, one of the mothers, said, you know what? If I can't have my baby, no one can. But the other mother immediately, without hesitation, said, nope, she can have the baby. She can have the baby. I don't want the baby. I don't want the baby. And King Solomon picks the baby up and hands it to her and says, you are the real mother. Because he knew that only the real mother would give up her claim, without hesitation, give up her claim to her own child to protect the child. And that's how he knew who the real mother was. And the moral of the story here is the principle is that words are powerful. Words have started wars. They've begun and ended marriages. They've stopped wars. They've changed entire social dynamics. They've inspired amazing things and horrible things in society. King Solomon knew that this was an impossible task, just like when you are on a sales call and someone says they don't have the money or this or that, you think it's impossible to sell them, or you're stuck at $10,000 a month and you think it's impossible to get to 100 a month, or whatever it is you're telling yourself is impossible, just like King Solomon knew that this was an impossible task. But he knew, he was wise, and he knew how to use his words to overcome the impossible. And if you know how to use your words, you can make anything happen, because that is the most powerful thing in this world is words. The most powerful thing. It is the thing that has changed it's how we learn. It's how we grow. It's how we manage. It's how we communicate. It's how we do everything. Words. It's the most powerful thing. King Solomon knew what to say to overcome the impossible. And if you can learn what to say, you can overcome the impossible as well. So let's take some questions, guys. Let's take some questions. And for day 4 and day 5, we're going to go heavy into objections, because look, that's a big thing. We're going to talk about why people buy, and specifically how to close clients that say they don't have the resources. Would that be helpful over the next 2 days? Yes?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, what questions do you guys have? Let me know.
Dan, on day 1, you said at the end of the sales call, don't leave them dejected, leave them inspired. and then follow up. Can you give me an example of something you would say, or like you get to the end of the call and they're like, they say no for whatever reason. They don't have the money, they can't afford it. The now is not a good time. It's not an ideal. What would you, an example of something you would say to them that would kind of inspire them?
Well, if you do the call right from beginning to end, that's what'll happen, right? So when you get into objection handling, let's say I did the Babe Ruth close. They're leaving the call not thinking, crap, I couldn't afford that, I'm never gonna make it. They're leaving the call thinking, man, if I wanna be a champion, because I always tell people, I say, listen, be honest with me. Are you scared about the investment? Are you scared? Like guys, honestly, who here, just say me, if, I'll use my offer as an example. Say me, if you are interested and you would love to join the Daily Sales Huddle, but you're a little nervous. Maybe it's the investment, maybe it's the time. You're a little scared at least. Anybody feel that way?
Me.
Okay. Of course you do. Of course you do. And tomorrow, either tomorrow or the next day, I'm going to share with you the actual psychological reason why people don't buy. And when I share this with you, every time I've shared this with people, it has been game changing, because when you actually understand how the mind works, now you go, oh, that's why people don't buy. I'm going to share that with you tomorrow. But here's the thing. We watch, everybody that said yes, right? You've watched television, you've watched movies, you've consumed the entertainment that, you know, from the time you were a child to now, right? Like, does anybody here not watch movies or not watch shows ever? Or do you actually watch movies and shows? You watch them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I mean, everybody watches movies and shows. Okay, here's the thing. My grandfather on my father's side, he was a German physicist. He said constant exposure always leads to some form of contamination. You are inundated every day with a certain construct, right, of how people are. Heroes are almost always painted as fearless. Look at the Rocky movies. Rocky was like a punching bag. He had like no fear, man. He was just like, you know, like no fear. So champions, people who succeed, are always painted as fearless. And here's the other thing. You can spotlight me, Carla. Here's the other thing. People who have money are always painted as villains, right? Think about this. You're a child, right? So when you're a child, what is a certain type of programming, a certain type of movie that almost all children watch? They get super excited about it. They buy the toys. What type of movies?
Superhero movies.
Superhero movies, okay? Think about this. Superman is rich or poor? Clark Kent, rich or poor?
Poor.
The poor farm boy. His nemesis is Lex Luthor. Is he rich or poor?
He's rich.
Rich.
Okay. Look at the Fantastic Four and Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom's like a trillionaire. Look at Spider-Man and the Green Goblin. Spider-Man's a poor Bronx kid. Green Goblin is rich. You say, oh, wait a minute. What about Batman? What about Iron Man? Okay, both Batman and Iron Man are painted as alcoholic womanizers. And they have no superpowers. Do you see? Poor, good, rich, bad. Poor, good, rich, bad. It's programmed into you. And so you assume two things. You assume that champions are fearless, and you assume that it is noble to be poor. I'm here to tell you there is no nobility in poverty, and champions are not fearless. They just do it scared. You go and you look at interviews with UFC champions, you won't see a single one that says, I was fearless, I didn't care. They're always scared. In fact, I think I heard John Jones and a couple other guys say that when they go into a fight, they are terrified, and that's what keeps them on point. Champions they're not fearless. They do it scared. I'm always scared. I'm always scared. What if I mess up? What if I say something stupid? What I just do it anyway. That's the difference. Is champions do it scared. And when you can get that around your head, you can do anything because you realize that fear no longer has power over you. Fear is, and it's not fear, guys, it's anxiety. Fear is, if you're on a plane and you're freaking out, that's anxiety. If the plane starts going down, that's fear. Fear is an emotional reaction to a clear and present danger. Anxiety is an emotional reaction to a perceived threat. So that's the thing. There's no reason to let fear control you because it's based on nothing. It's based on fiction. So was this a little bit helpful, guys, or a lot of it helpful? Was it good?
Yes.
Yes. All right. What questions do you have? I'd be happy to answer them, and then we'll end for the day. Day 4 and 5 is going to be fire. It's going to be high paced fire. So let me.
I have a question about the pricing. So I know in the past you kind of taught like here's the pricing, here's kind of the incentive based pricing to try and get people to close on the call. Do you still recommend that, or if we're kind of doing as much follow up as you're kind of recommending, it seems like we kind of be shooting ourselves in the foot by doing something like that?
Yeah. So you're talking the incentive based pricing. So yeah, I taught that years ago, and that works, especially at lower ticket. I don't do it at higher ticket because at higher ticket, like way higher ticket, it's just, if somebody's considering investing 50, 60 grand, that's just not, it's just unnecessary. But in the lower ticket range, it does tend to work. I always say, play with it, right? If you do the call correctly, you shouldn't really need that. But when I did do it and it worked, I framed it like this. I said, listen, would you consider yourself an action taker? And they say, yes. I said, okay. So we went back and we looked at all of our clients, and this is true actually. We looked at all of our clients that got the most results. And the ones that got the most results took the most action and were the most decisive from the beginning. They didn't need to think about it. They just went all in. Here's the thing. You're going to get a lot more, or I'd say, do you think you'd get more results if you tiptoed in or if you went full bore? And they say, full bore. I say, okay. So we do have a very special incentive. If you enroll normally, it's $7,000. However, if you enroll right now where we don't have to do a follow-up and this and that, and you show that you're gung-ho and ready to go, we have a gung-ho discount and it'll be $5,000. I don't personally do incentive-based pricing anymore. And the reason for that is I've gotten so good at everything I've taught you guys that it's never even come to that. I mean, I haven't had somebody. When you get so good at the other stuff, that doesn't even, it ends up being marginal. It ends up negligible. It doesn't really matter. That's sort of like if you don't do a good job and then that just gets them over the line. But if you do everything right, it's not that necessary. It's really not.
Okay, yeah, because we have a $20,000 offer that we've signed a bunch of kids up for, but it ended up being like a 2-day close or something like that because they had to, talk to their wife or move money around or what have you.
The higher the price, the less I do it.
Bigger families, like they just kind of have to do. Like there's a logistical problem there.
Exactly. When you charge like we charge 60 grand, I don't expect you guys to send me 60 grand in 5 minutes. Like you got to move money. It's a higher end deal. So this whole if you buy it right now, that should not be a thing at a much higher. Because if you need that to move forward, you weren't going to buy anyway at that price point. So I don't like that for larger high ticket.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions?
I've just got a quick one. Do you find there's a difference between selling B2B or selling to consumer retail? What would be the biggest difference from your perspective?
I don't think there's a big difference. Generally, B2B, you have people who are more committed to what they're doing. So you generally have two sales. You have, you have the sale of the path to get what they want, and then you have you getting them there, right? So if they're not sold on the path, you got to sell the path, and you got to sell you helping them with the path. If they're already sold on the path, then it's just left for you to be, the thing they have to decide on. And in B2B, they're almost exclusively sold on the path, or at least they're a lot easier to sell on the path. If it's B2C, they might not even know if they want to do, I don't know if I want to write a book. I don't know if I want to start an Amazon store. So does that make sense? They're already sold on the path. So you have to make one sale instead of two most of the time. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Thanks.
Dan, can I ask you a question about your offer?
Sure.
So I'm kind of interested in you guys taking the sales course stuff off my hands. That it's I don't know if I'm trying to figure out if the huddle thing's right for me, but I'm definitely up for the closed deals guys taking that side of things. One of my concerns is that, and I'm sure everyone feels this to an extent about their business, but I get quite a few technical questions on the calls that I do with people. And obviously being in this industry for years that I'm in, I'm able to answer those questions. And I feel that some people, say they can say to me, oh, like, you really get it. Yeah, we're talking, for me, it's music. So it's like composer to composer things. And my concern is that if I hand those calls over, I'm sure your guys are going to crush it much better than I could on a sales side. But I'm concerned about losing that kind of conversational expertise if it's someone who doesn't do that side of things. Okay,
I will answer that, but you just said something interesting. You said, I'm sure they're going to crush it on sales, but I'm concerned about losing the conversational. Do you want to make sales, or do you want to have a good conversation?
Right, that is part of the sales. Okay, yeah, so good point, well made, yeah.
Yeah, but just so you understand, there's two types of knowledge when it comes to sales. There's product knowledge, and that's going to be stuff about your product, stuff about your industry, and then there's sales knowledge, okay? We do expect you to relay the product knowledge to your salespeople, but on a sales call, the product knowledge is generally 5% of what makes the sale, and the sales knowledge is 95%. So, you do have to relay that to them. I will tell you this though, when we sign somebody on, we don't just immediately build them a sales team. And I'm going to share with you tomorrow why. Because you have to be at a certain level, and not just monetarily, systems wise. Otherwise, a good sales rep would never work for you. And I'm going to actually break down why tomorrow and how to attract top tier sales talent. Even if you don't go with us, this lesson tomorrow will help you do that. But we would work to get you to that level and then build you the team. We wouldn't build you the team before, because we wouldn't be able to build you the team. No, the salespeople wouldn't take the job. Again, I don't know your exact situation. I'm assuming if certain criteria weren't met, but if the criteria is currently met, we could just build you a sales team. So, but is it worth scheduling that call and having a discussion? Is it worth a conversation?
Certainly is, yeah.
Yeah. We did have several people apply. General admission, I can't give you the link yet. You'll get it tomorrow. We had a ton of people apply from VIP. Keep in mind, guys, we only have 20 spots for this. So if you're interested, you'll want to go ahead and submit that deposit and book that call. And if you have any questions about the offer, I'm also happy to answer them now, because when we end today, tomorrow, I'm going to tell General about it. And so if you're on the fence about booking that call, let me know, and I can answer any questions you guys have now before we end. So are there any questions about the actual offer? I did try to explain it as good as possible.
I have a question.
Yes.
My sales team, we sell products which we don't sell English products. I mean, our coaches and everything is for the Romanian and the Italian market. Okay. So our sales team, they sell only Italian and Romanian. So my question is, you can help us in this way, maybe?
They also speak English.
Yeah, they speak English, they learn everything.
Great question. So the question is, they sell to the Romanian market. Are we going to be able to help you? Here's my question. Has this challenge been helpful to you?
Yes, of course.
So you can be coached in English.
Yes, we can.
So what do you think? Do you think it would be helpful to you?
To us, it's helpful, of course. Okay.
Yeah, we have tons of people who are international in the program. As long as you can speak English and we can coach you in English, you'll be fine.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. Great question. That is a valid question.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, cool. All right, guys.
I have another question.
Yeah, sure.
One of our competitors in Romania, he's playing a lot on the volume. They take like 40,000 calls per year. They have a 200 people sales team. They work only on commission. We saw their system. They are not trained like your sales team, and they just call you, do you want to buy or not? And they close them, and that's it.
They don't have a system.
They don't have a system, but they go on the volume. And we are now asking ourselves if we should go on the bigger sales team, but with a low skill, or a really trained sales team, but high skilled and lower volume in the sales.
So you're asking if you should hire more sales
Yeah,
people?
I mean, to have a really good sales team, we have to train them. So they have a higher closing rate. So they go to 40 or 50% closing rate. Yeah.
So to train who start, I don't know, from 0 or from like 2 or 3, and to get them to 5 or 6.
So my question is the following: should we focus on having a higher team, but without giving them too much training, so we can grow faster, like our competition? They have. Sorry, my English.
Are you asking me if you should build a big team of people that don't know how to sell, or a little team of people that do know how to sell?
Simple question. They have 40,000 calls per year. This is their their numbers.
40,000 what?
They have 40,000 calls per year. They have a 200 people sales team. They built that in 1.5 years, but their sales team is really bad.
How do you know that? Just out of curiosity, how you know that to be true?
Some people working with them tell us they sent also a public email, and also their company sales went public, because in Romania you have to.
Revenue is about 5 million euros.
They do 5 million euros in Romania, 40,000 calls, which sounds crazy to you because here the prices are lower. Compared to the United States.
The TAM is
smallest. Yeah. So our question is the following: should we train a smaller team, and go on the maybe high ticket prices, and try to close less people but for more money, or also
go on the value?
Go have a bigger team and try to take their share of the market.
I mean, if you don't know the answer to that, I haven't done my job this week. Yes, better salespeople for a higher price, I think would be the best possible way to go. The thing about it is though, like the Pareto principle, right? Most of your sale, I guarantee you that team they have that's huge, only a small percentage of those reps are making the majority of the money.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
So the team that's actually producing for them is small. It's just they have a lot of people that are waste. So I would say charge more, because now you can position yourself as a better option, because you are more of a premium option, and go with a smaller team. But are you guys able to sell it yourselves right now?
Actually, we are selling it via webinars, most of them automated webinars, and we do like 500,000 per year. It's not that much compared to them. I try personally to close on like high ticket calls, and I have like 40 to 50% closing rate. But it's hard to me to teach the sales team to do the same. That's the hardest part to me. Maybe I'm not good at managing a team or finding good people, and I prefer at the moment to stay on the automated webinars, driving a lot of traffic, a lot of call
May I
emails.
ask you a question?
Yes, sure.
So you said you're considering the daily sales huddle and you have these questions. You said something interesting. You said it's difficult for you to hire and train these people, right? So let me ask you this. On a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rank yourself as a salesperson?
6 to 7, I think.
Okay, so 6 to 7. Where would you rank like me and Phil?
10, of course.
Okay.
9 to 10, yeah.
Appreciate that. But let's just say it's a 9, right? Where would you rank yourself, scale of 1 to 10, in terms of a sales trainer, teaching people how to sell? Where would you rank yourself?
7 to 8, I think. I like to teach, and I've done also.
Well, I didn't ask if you like to teach. I asked if you were good at it. You just told me a second ago that was like the most challenging thing for you. So why is that higher? Why are you better at teaching sales if that's your number one problem than you are at selling?
I like to believe I'm good at teaching, but I'm.
I would love to believe I don't pay taxes, but I still get the bill every year.
Bye.
Yeah.
So realistically, where would you put yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 as a sales trainer?
I think 4.
4. And then finally, and where would you put me and Phil?
9 to 10. Yeah. I like.
Sure. And I appreciate your kindness. Finally, as a sales manager, meaning after you've trained them, keeping them producing, keeping them organized, keeping them in sync, keeping them with a strong mindset continuously, day in, day out, scale 1 to 10, where would you put yourself?
I think it's 2 to 3.
2 to
Even
3.
lower.
Okay. And where would you put me and Phil?
Say 9 to 10. I mean,
Okay.
10.
So here's my question to you then. If you were betting on a sports game, would you bet on and there was a high ranked team, very high seed team playing a very low seed team? Which team would you bet on? The one that's high ranked or the one that's low ranked?
I mean, I'll bet on your team. I mean,
Okay. So when it comes to your sales, the lifeblood of your company for the next year, 2 years, 3 years, do you want to bet on a 4 or do you want to bet on a 9?
I want to bet on 9 to 10.
So that's the thing, is you're good at what you, the reason why I do this little exercise is I know you're good at what you do, and I expect you to be good at what you do. I don't expect you to be good at what we do. And that's why we do what we do. So if that is true, everything you just said, then I think you should book a call and see if we can make it work.
So we can be the number 1 in Romania.
Yeah,
So
well, I don't have any other Romanian clients, so we will do our best to make you number 1. Absolutely.
Italy.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, we'll keep away to, and we'll book a call with you.
All right, awesome. And I know what I'll do is we had several people that booked a call. I'll bring some of you guys on tomorrow and you can share why you decided to book a call. I know we had, I think it was it Zach or who shared earlier why he booked. And that was great. So we'll do that. But guys, do your homework. Let's close some deals. Let's close some sales. Let's do it. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Hi, guys.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you.